Marami na po ang mga batang pinabayaan ng kanilang mga magulang. Marami sa kanila ang naging biktima at masama ang nangyari sa kanila, tulad ng droga o prostitution. Bakit po pumapayag ang Diyos na may ganitong nangyayari? Kahit walang kasalanan ang mga bata. At bakit kaunti lang ang mga taong tumutulong sa amin?
Greetings everyone. In that clip we just saw a young girl. The clip is a few years old and we just saw a young girl, I think from the Philippines, asking Pope Francis why God permits all these terrible things to happen. And recently, and for quite a while, I felt like that young girl. I have those kinds of questions and many more. And despite reading a lot about suffering and watching a lot of things about suffering and even speaking to people, including priests, about suffering and evil, I still can't quite square that equation. I can't make sense of it. And the only answer that comes to mind is the one that Pope Francis gave that girl, like the one that he basically gave that girl, that was to say, there's no answer to that question. That is the conclusion I also reached. There is no answer to that question. I'm with Teresa of Avila on this one. If this is how you treat your friends, no wonder you have so few. That's what she said to Jesus. Another way to put that could be, don't be surprised there are so many atheists. If this is how you treat people in the world, don't be surprised there are so many atheists. Because a lot of the time I get frustrated with atheists, but sometimes I actually think, do you know what? Maybe what some atheists are saying is that they don't believe there could be a God who could be this evil. So they see a lot of the evil going on, they see the diseases, the illnesses, the terrible things happening, and they basically say, I don't believe that if there was a God he could be this cruel. I don't believe he could have made us and then be so cruel, so awful. It makes more sense to me that there just isn't one. That's what they're saying. They're almost refusing to attribute terrible qualities to God and saying, no, actually, God couldn't be that bad. Rather than saying, actually, I think there is a God and he's evil. So what is this video about? You could see the title, I give up. So what does that mean? Do I give up my faith, my Catholic faith? No, I don't. I don't give it up because I believe it. I'm not just going to stop believing it because I'm having a hard time. I believe it to be true, so I can't give it up. Do I give up this channel? Have I had enough of making videos on this channel? No, and that's why I'm making one now, to let you know that I do plan to try and make more videos again. It's not going to be easy with the way I'm feeling in here and in here, but I'm going to try because there are so many things about the Catholic faith that interest me. I think it's a great treasure chest that you can keep digging deeper into and find all kinds of wonders and interesting things. So what do I mean to say by I give up? What I'm saying is I give up trying to understand him up there. I've tried, and you know, we're created with minds, with brains, with reason, so we want to understand things. In fact, we're created to understand things. That's how we navigate our way through nature, through the world. We understand the way things work and then we live in accordance to that understanding. So for instance, we understand that fire is hot. You don't want to be putting your hand into it, but you can use it to heat things up. We like to understand. It's good that we understand. And in fact, from what I've heard, it's good that we are inquisitive, even in questions about theology. And we say, well, I don't understand this. How does this work? Why does this happen? And I've been doing a lot of that, and I have not been able to, no matter how much I try, to make sense of this idea that an all-loving God and an all-loving Father created diseases and illnesses so that we, the children who he loves, would get them. This is something that he can't wash his hands of, right? You can't say, well, no, God didn't create them and want to give them to us. No. Anything that exists, as you know, only exists because of God. There isn't anything that's taken in by surprise. It only exists because of God. He made it, even the bad stuff. Even the diseases, the sicknesses, the viruses that we then get, that was him. You might say, well, there's a reason for that, and it's because of the fall, and it wouldn't have happened. Okay, fine. But he decided this would be what happens. This would be the road to heaven because of the fall, because of sin. That was his choice. It didn't have to be. He decided that it was going to be this way. And maybe it's the best way there is, but it doesn't make any sense to me. And so, as you can see, I'm still not completely happy at the moment. So he's done that, and that boggles my mind. I don't think I'm ever going to understand that while I'm on this earth, not unless I get some kind of infused knowledge from above that's going to enlighten me to the whole thing, and I don't think that's going to happen. The fact that he does that, God isn't judged by our standards, right? If somebody was in a lab making a virus to then let it loose on people, we would see that person as evil. In fact, some people believe that has happened in this world. But as far as God doing that, fine. If somebody had a child, let's say a father had a child who was sick and the father had medicine that could cure the child and then didn't do it purposely, we would say that's a bad father. We don't say that for him. He can do that, it's fine. He can ignore us, let us suffer, even if we ask him for help. Our rules don't apply to him. Because, his ways are not our ways, it's true. And for that reason, I don't understand him, and I don't think I'm ever going to. The best I can do is just try to accept, I have to accept what's going on because he's the supreme leader. We don't get to democratically vote in another God. No, I'm not happy with this one, let's have another one. So the only thing that I can do is accept what's going on and hope and believe that he knows what he's doing, even though it seems like complete anarchy in this world. Because it's true what they say, when you're suffering, as I am, being angry at him doesn't help. It doesn't help. It doesn't do anything to him. It does a lot to you. It just makes you feel even more terrible than you already feel. It's kind of difficult to almost trick yourself and try and be at peace when you know you're not and you know you're unhappy. But like I said, it just doesn't help to be angry at him and curse at him and stuff, as I've done, and I've had to confess that. Because it doesn't help. He's unaffected. He's God. He's going to be fine. He's not going to have an emotional breakdown because of what you're saying to him. He's not going to be in pain. His body isn't going to suffer because he doesn't have a body. I even feel like if you took a consecrated Eucharist and you flushed it down the toilet, okay, it wouldn't be a good thing to do. I don't recommend that, obviously. But he would be fine. He's God. He's not going to... It's not going to be like, you've done that and now he's suffering tremendously. No, he's fine. It's okay. He's God. He'll be fine. He'll get over it. He'll just, he's unaffected by it. It would be a sinful act and a bad thing to do, knowing that the consecrated Eucharist is Christ, but you're not going to hurt him, is what I'm saying. Whereas we can be hurt a lot. And when you're feeling the way that I feel, honestly, the shrieking purple-haired feminist crying about abortion rights doesn't bother you. Because that feminist isn't hurting me personally. He's hurting me personally. He's putting daggers in my heart. He's literally stabbing me in the heart by ignoring me and by making me feel alone. I've tried so hard with so much prayer to have a relationship with him. It doesn't help, okay? Not saying prayer doesn't help. I'm just saying I've tried and I give up. I give up trying to have a relationship with him. I give up trying to understand him, okay? I'm going to follow the law. I believe Catholicism to be true, and I'm going to follow the rules because I don't want to end up in hell, right? But it's, I don't want to call it a tyranny, but it sometimes feels like that for me. It feels like we're following the rules because we know he's all powerful, and we know if we step out of line and say anything wrong, he's going to punish us. That's how it feels. That's how it looks like in most countries, where there's a tyranny and where people are smiling and pretending they love the leader just so that nothing happens to them. that's how I feel. I don't want to feel that way. I want to feel like I genuinely love him and I follow his law because I love him, because I know he's good and he's amazing and he gave us all of this stuff. But that's not how I feel. I feel like I follow the laws because I don't want to be punished for not following them. But yeah, this is my video. It's just to say I'm still alive and I do intend to make more videos. That is that. Oh, before I finish the video, I do have one question to ask you. And I'm sorry if this offends anyone, by the way, but what I'm about to say could be a little bit considered, you know, how could you say such a thing? But this is something I was thinking about recently. I don't know if anyone there is, how can I put it, knowledgeable in this subject or knows someone who's knowledgeable in this subject. Perhaps there's a priest watching who could help. Here's my question. Does Jesus suffer physically today? Why do I ask that question? Because when you're suffering, something that's often said to you as a Catholic is, look at the crucifix, look at his suffering and unite your suffering to his. Now, that's all well and good if Christ is suffering now and then you're suffering now and you unite that suffering to his suffering. But if he suffered 2,000 years ago and now he's fine, then he's not suffering at the moment. You're suffering. And you're uniting your suffering to the suffering that he had a long time ago, but he's no longer suffering. So it doesn't feel quite the same. That's why I asked the question, is he still suffering now? Is his suffering timeless in a way? Like, he was on the crucifix down here 2,000 years ago. Is he still on the crucifix in a way now? Whenever we sin, like physically, not just emotionally suffering, but physically, does he still suffer? Because he suffered tremendously. I'm not downplaying his suffering. He suffered tremendously, terribly, horrifically, tortured. But it was less than a day of suffering. And then it finished. It was horrible suffering for a number of hours and then it finished. Whereas people on here in this world, they suffer chronic illnesses for years. Just day after day, it doesn't go away. It continues on, it carries on. And, you know, is Christ suffering with them? Like, is he properly suffering with them, I suppose, is what I want to know. That's my question. If anyone has an answer or knows somebody who may have an answer, that would be greatly appreciated. And, yeah, thank you for watching the video and have a blessed day.